What's going on, everyone? This is Dustin Stelzer with Journey to Master, and today I want to talk on greatness. Greatness. This is one of those terms that is kind of a contentious issue between people, I think. We as humans, we seem to constantly compare ourselves to other people. We think that we're doing okay in our life until we come across somebody else who's doing better, and then we feel like, shit, we're not doing enough. That person is greater in some way. So it oftentimes leaves us feeling a lack, like we're not doing enough and we need to do more. And I think that depression probably stems more from the feeling of lack and observing what someone else has versus what you don't, more than anything else does. I think if we were left to our own devices and didn't have a lot of other people around, and that's just kind of what we were used to in our lives, I think we would feel pretty great about who we are and what we do every day. It's only once we compare ourselves, we have something else to look at, that we feel either a lack or we feel better than. Even when you're doing great and you see somebody who's not, or you feel threatened in some way, a lot of people will make somebody feel small because it makes them feel great. So the relativity or the relative nature that we have to, being something and being relative to another thing, it oftentimes makes us feel either less than or greater than. So greatness is the term that I started thinking about lately, and I observe greatness in a lot of people. You watch Michael Jordan back in the day playing, you're observing greatness. Like, that dude is doing great things. I am a big fan of Tool, and watching Tool play and perform live, the odd time meters that they play, the fact that they can play in 21-16 and they play 7-8, they'll do 7-8 9, and then you have things like Lateralis, which are epic, so deep, just amazing, profound pieces of masterful art in music, and I observe them as being great, and you see one performance by them and you're like, oh, they're great. But I'm here to challenge that idea that greatness is something that's observed. I think in the English language, at least, we say somebody is great because we are making an observation about something they are doing. But I don't agree that that's what greatness is. I think the definition of greatness should be all of the work that person or that thing did, all of the quantities together that produce over time, whatever it is that we observe greatness being. But I think the greatness is that person's dedication, their commitment to what they're doing. I think that is greatness, and we're just observing it, in one snapshot. But I look at greatness like I look at electricity, or like dirty. When somebody asks me what is electricity, I have to kind of back up for a minute and break that word down. Electricity is not a thing. Electricity is a word that we use to describe some phenomenon happening that smaller things are doing. And the totality of all of these smaller things makes electricity, or makes, the observable thing that we call electricity. But electricity by itself, there's not electricity going through walls. Electricity is kind of like the word dirty. So when you observe somebody's t-shirt, right, it's filthy, just mud all over it. We call that dirty. But dirty itself is not a thing. You can't go grab a dirty. You can't own a dirty. Dirty is just the quality of smaller pieces of dirt, accumulations of small little things that are a whole bunch of different things that add up together to equal this thing that we call dirty. Electricity is the same way. You can't grab an electricity. You can't touch electricity. Electricity is a phenomenon that happens because of smaller little things. We've got protons and electrons, we've got fields around conductors, and we've got movement. That all of those things together, or in certain combinations, when they do something, we say that is being electric. So we say it is electricity in action. But the same thing. The point I'm trying to make is that it's the small bits that matter. the word electricity is seriously a meaningless word. It means nothing. It just means that there's a whole bunch of small things doing something really cool. And the only way that we can really understand electricity, because it's not observable, is theoretical, mathematical, is trying to understand what these things are doing, and to a highly calculable and reproducible degree, we think we're right about it all. But I use that electricity and dirty example to evaluate the word greatness. You can't have a greatness. You can't go out and attain a great. Greatness is something that you do in the present moment, every single day. That's the quanta. That's the small bits that make up great. Greatness is simply a whole lot of good over a really, really long period of time. That is greatness. And a lot of people, especially younger generations, they want to overnight be great. They want to be the skateboarding, phenom that's making millions of dollars at the X Games, and they just want to go out and land varials and kick flips and all these different things overnight without realizing you got to earn those things over a long, long period of time, and that the joy in the search, or the path to greatness, is the being great every single day, and the failing to be great, the falling short that happens, that allows you to learn, that allows you to better yourself every single day. So greatness is not a destination. It's not even a thing. Greatness simply means somebody has put in dedication, hard work, and they have consistently, over a very long time, put it in every day. And over that long period of time, they have earned enough, they have accumulated enough of this goodness every single day that people are going to stand back and observe what they're doing, because they're going to have excelled a little and a little and a little, and eventually that all adds up to a lot of excelling. So people on the outside can look in and observe, fuck, that thing, that person, that activity, whatever I just saw, that's great. But even if you look at Tony Robbins, let's say for an example, motivational speaker, everybody probably knows who Tony Robbins is. Tony Robbins is, when you listen to a speech by him, most people would stand back and be like, whoa, that dude is great. I want to change my life. I want to do everything different now. That guy is great. Or that speech is great. But that speech in itself even has a long history of just good. Tony Robbins at some point was probably saying dumb shit. He had to read books. He had to read hundreds of books and practice speaking and practice having mentors, saying stupid things and thinking stupid things and getting perspective from people to change what he thinks about the world, and constantly just trying over years and decades for him to become today on a stage with all that energy and all of that, changing everybody's lives in gratitude. He's not that guy overnight. It took him 4 decades to get where he's at today. So what I'm saying is Tony Robbins is not great because we observe him in a speech being great. Tony Robbins is great because he has spent days, hours, minutes of every single day for years and years and decades and more years to get where he's at today. So his good has just been a long time, a lot of good. And that's it. So my whole point with this is I want everyone to realize that greatness is attainable. I want to bring this thing called greatness, instead of seeing a mountain and thinking, God, it's so much to get up to the top of that thing. Just see the path and see one step in front of the other, and just lay one good step. Or if you're building a building, lay one perfect brick and make sure the next one is perfect, and only focus on that thing at that time. And if you do this, if you're completely present in everything that you're doing at every moment of every day, within every breath, life, actually live what you're doing, what's in front of you. Don't be thinking about the future and the past and getting depressed about your comparisons to other people and feeling a lack and all of that. Don't give up your present for memories of your past or a hope for your future. Life is only the present moment. Every single present moment. The present moment never stops. So Practice presence with at least as much zeal as you expend energy on the shit that happened to you in your past or the places that you hope to be in your future. Because the only way that either of those things are going to be rectified is by making your nows, your presence in every single moment, count, worthwhile. Master every single moment. At least just give a shit and focus intently and being present, being alive. Thinking about 10 years from now is not you being alive. It's you hoping for something. And you got to realize by now, I mean, you know, I'm going to be 35 pretty soon. By now I've realized that whatever I think the future is going to look like, no matter how many plans I write and budgets, spreadsheets, shit that I make and all these 10-year goals and stuff that I think is going to happen, it's not going to look anything like that. Every conversation you think you're going to have with somebody later on in the day when you need to really tell them something and you practice going through it in your head, it gets down to time and it doesn't go the way that you thought it was going to go. The future never happens because the future is not actually a thing. It's just your mind. It's just you thinking about how you want the present to be different. But if you just enjoy the present, instead of wasting all that time thinking, I'm not saying don't plan, have a goal, all of that. I'm 100% behind that. But with at least as much zeal as you are off in the future all the time, put at least that much energy into the present. And the same thing, a lot of people are really depressed and they have all this regret for things that have happened in the past. That past isn't here. It's not even a thing. It's just your fucking mind chewing on stuff. Spending all that now, all that life, the only life you have, the only precious fucking moment that we get, you're wasting on all that shit back there that's not even here anymore. So put at least as much energy into every present moment, every fucking breath you take, into living here and now, at least as much as you do in the future and the past. And I say 10 times more. Love you, crazy people, and I'll see you in the next one.